Hey guys, I'm Corey, and this is Make Shape Create. I want to make the perfect Origins He-Man and Skeletor today. Now, we have gotten quite a few of them already, and Mattel's gotten pretty close. I feel like we can do better, but to figure out what they have and haven't done right, I feel like we need to take a little trip down what we've gotten so far. Now, that being said, I am not including like the Thunder Punches and the Terror Claws and the Flying Fist, and we'd be here all day. Regular ones only, and the variations of them. So, that being said, let's get started. Okay, so back in 2020, we got these two figures. These are the original Origins Skeletor and He-Man. And the way I understand it is the whole point of the Origins line was to take the vintage ones, which I'll put up on screen now, and modernize them, not only with articulation and stuff like that, but also the way they looked. Brighter colors, so on and so forth. There was a lot of kickback about these head sculpts because they don't look like the originals. They continued putting this out for a couple years, and then we got, which I think there's a lot of people who their very first He-Man and their very first Skeletor was the battle armor ones from the vintage line. Now, while I did have these, and I had almost all of them as a kid, the way I understand is that the whole reason these came about was because factories couldn't keep up with making the vintage ones, and so they made a completely different version, and that's how we got the battle armors. Now, again, to some people, these are the definitive, not these two, battle armors. When they re-released them, while a lot of people I do think were excited for them and stuff like that, they were also very bummed because the barrels on the chest are much smaller than the vintage ones. I do kind of agree with that, but you also get added articulation and stuff like that. But also with that, we also got things like, we got our first vintage style head with He-Man and Skeletor. So now you finally got a vintage style head. These I don't think are 100% exact, although they do, when you repaint them, they definitely look much more like the vintage ones. Now, that being said, they weren't perfect, but they were much better than the ones we got, even though they already gave us update or new heads, hoping that we would like that. A couple years later, instead of the new heads, what they ended up doing, they did re-release them with the vintage style heads. Now, I am in the camp that these are great figures. I love these head sculpts. They are way better than the first ones we've got of each of these. Although these are not bad, I think, especially with the Skeletor, and this won't focus for whatever reason, especially with the Skeletor, I was a firm believer that it was just the paint was sloppy. Most of the black between his teeth makes it look like he has mustache. This He-Man isn't a bad head sculpt. In fact, I kind of prefer it with Prince Adam, because then it kind of makes sense that no one can tell who it is because it's two different faces. But again, that being said, we did eventually get another battle armor He-Man in the Battlefield Warriors one, which was like a battle damaged one, and it came with this head, the vintage style head, along with a new head sculpt, which I never really heard a bad thing about, because I think it feels like this head, but a little more windblown. Now, we did get another Skeletor in the form of Keldor with an Alcala style head, which again, a lot of people really liked because it referenced those vintage artwork and that vintage drawings. And you got a Keldor head, which was from the 2000X line. All that to say, I don't think we've gotten the definitive ones. I do think we have gotten pretty close now with the Stranger Things crossovers. I think these are not only the best looking ones we've gotten so far, but I think they are the closest to the vintage ones we have gotten so far in the colors. Now, I know we're supposed to get new vintage ones here soon that are supposed to be like the best ones yet, with more paint apps and stuff like that, blah, blah. But we have not gotten that, I don't think, with these. And so today, I want to make what I believe will be the definitive Origins He-Man and Skeletor. So to do that, we're going to break some stuff down, heat up some water, get some glue ready, go from there. One of the things I love about this He-Man is his sword, his armor, and his axe are all very metallic. And I really, really, really like that. So these, I am 100% happy with. I am not going to do anything to these. These are going to go in our bin over here. They are fine. I might do a little bit of painting on the head, but honestly, like, again, I don't have a problem with this head. I don't have a problem with either of these heads. I think they're beautiful. So you know what? They're going to go in there too. Mainly, what we're going to do on this figure is going to be right here. The loincloth and the boobs. I think by just doing a little bit to those two things on this He-Man, and maybe evening out some of this paint with a different wash, I think that He-Man is going to make a big difference. Now, similarly, Skeletor. This just goes to prove to you the difference that paint apps make. These are the exact same head sculpt. There's nothing different about them other than the color in which they're molded and the paint apps. This one, the paint apps go all the way through versus just sitting on his lip, and the eyes are more menacing. So this one looks so much better. That being said, the only thing about this I might do is I might add a little bit of the green around it, but I'm not 100%. Because I really, really, really like this head sculpt. So that's going to go in the bin. Same thing with the sword, the Havoc staff, the harness. All of these, I think, are like the perfect colors. I love that metallic sheen. I don't have any problem with them whatsoever. Those are going in there. I'm even going to leave his this part of the loincloth. A lot of what we're going to be doing to this Skeletor, again, not even to the chest, is going to be to this half. Now, you might be a little confused as to what I'm doing with these two halves that are going to make such a big difference. And that is a valid question. But we're going to start with some fur. One more thing. Before I cut some fur, I know I did not mention the 2000X ones, because I don't feel like they're the same. I don't think they're meant to be the same thing. They're meant to be the 2000X ones. That being said, I am going to use a 2000X Skeletor for his feet, because the original Skeletor was supposed to have those feet, and I want this Skeletor to have those feet. And this is the closest to this blue I can get. We're just going to have to do a wash on it. Okay, so while I wait for the water to heat up, we're gonna go ahead and start mixing our wash. Now, one, he's kind of got more of a yellow tint to him than this one does. So I got some yellow. And then the wash seems to be more like a navy blue or whatever. So actually I need to get that dark blue and then some black. This wash, first of all, the plastic on this seems to be a little more yellow than the plastic on this. It's close, but not quite. So we're gonna start with just a light yellow to mix in there. But also, the wash kind of seems like a navy bluish. So I think between these three, we should be able to get a wash we want. It might even be I have to do it with yellow first, let that soak in, and then go back with like a navy blue wash, but I'm not sure. We can. Oh, I think if I put this on here, I think this is going to be giving me a perfect mix. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Like, is that perfect? No, but like, that is so close. I am so happy with that. Okay, now, see, now I got interchangeable hands. Cool. Now, this water's almost heated up. Let's get these feet swapped. All right, I think the feet are good. I'm gonna let his feet dry. I think that is close enough to what I wanted, that once I put it on these legs, which actually I guess I can test out now even though they're not dry. I don't know if I find the right legs. Okay. Now, let's try just a little bit. We can start taking some off. Oh, yes. Oh, I love them. They're perfect. Okay, now, legs are done for him. We're moving on to He-Man. Now, before I start adding fur to this, because that's kind of a drastic thing, I want to start by painting all of his straps on his boot. Now, this will be relatively easy. It's just going to be a little time consuming, but that's not that big a deal. So, we're going to figure out what color we want and go from there. Okay, so I think for the straps, I'm gonna go. I'm in between stuff, but what I think I'm gonna go with to kind of bring in some more of those vintage colors is I'm gonna go with more of a maroon, a reddish brown. I don't want to be too far either way, so, but I don't need a whole lot either. So, like that. This is actually called black red, but we'll see how this looks. If not, I can add a little bit of brown to it. All right, here we go. I don't love it. But it might grow on me. I am totally expecting I'm going to have to paint over it, which is totally fine. But I think I'm going to go later and just a later tan than maroon. I tried maroon on one, didn't like it. Went with red on the other. Tried red on both the Max, didn't like it. So we're going to hold off on that, and I'm going to start on the loincloth. So the good thing is that these are all the same. So while that dries, I can use this one to kind of get so to speak pattern of the belt, so I know how to cut it. Okay, that worked really well, but there's a little bit where you can see the threading or whatever you want to call it, the fabric underneath. So I'm just gonna paint over that. So I gotta try to match this fur color as best as possible. And this is pretty much a good time to repaint those straps. So I was putting He-Man together, and I don't know how I forgot about the most important thing, but he needs his correct hand, you know, the one where he can actually raise the power of Grayskull and stuff. The only problem is this is the wrong color. It is He-Man color, but not this He-Man color. So we're going to try to rectify that now. I'm looking at it. I hope it's just these two. Might need to add a little gray. Okay, so I think I got one more thing that I want to do. And that is quite simply, I want to swap hips. So, and maybe it's because I grew up with the Filmation cartoon, I don't know. But I've never liked the loincloth shorts on Skeletor. So we're going to swap them out for this. This is from Randy Savage. All we're going to do though, before I pop it in hot water to pop the legs off, is we're going to use some acetone, try to get this white off. So I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was done with this, but there are two things. One, Skeletor's got to have a cape, and I don't know why I forgot about this, but I did. So we're just gonna use this Skeletor cape. It is not a perfect match, but I'm okay with it because the fabric wouldn't be metallic, I don't think. And this face needs one slight modification, and that is we're gonna make it a little more like the vintage one. And we're just gonna add a little bit of black. And that will give us the look we're gonna go for. These guys turned out basically exactly how I wanted them to. I was a little worried about the feet on him, and the loincloth was like a last minute thing with him. This He-Man is awesome. I love it. I love the furry shorts. Yeah, I'm so happy with them. Those are now, I think, my definitive Origins He-Man and Skeletor. Hopefully you guys liked this. If you did, there's going to be a playlist up here of all the stuff I've ever customized, all the figures I've ever done. YouTube's gonna suggest something for you down there. If you've never been here before and you've never seen any of this, please go hit subscribe. I got a bunch of stuff coming. I have a bunch of stuff I've already done. I think you'll like it if you like this. And I'll see you in the next video. See you guys.